Hi, my name is Benjamin Watts, and thank you so much for checking out the channel. Today we're going to be taking some time to talk about the importance of a quiet time or a devotional, whatever you may call your time with God on a day-to-day basis. And I know going into 2020 can be a lot of our resolutions to spend more time in His Word, and that is exciting, and I am so proud of you if you have made that decision this year. And I'm someone who is like that. I want to keep my quote-unquote streak higher, but for the glory of God. I know that there's times where I've walked through maybe just a week or a month that I look back and I go, man, I've done ministry, I've been around the Bible, but I was lazy and had a few days where I missed out on my quiet time. And what I tell my students when I'm discipling them is first start with 10 minutes. And so we're going to talk about your 10 minutes a day or your devotional or quiet time, whatever you call it, on how we can be more consistent and how we can have a better quiet time. Well, the topic of having a better quiet time is something that is so important because I believe that no matter if we are 50, 60, maybe we're 20 years old, wherever we're at in our walk with God, maybe you're a young believer, maybe you're someone who's lived many years, but you're just now coming into faith. I believe it's a struggle we all have, and that is having consistent quiet times. And so I want to talk about just 3 things that I believe can impact you on a day-to-day basis to make your quiet times better. Now, let me first say that I am not perfect, and I'm not laying out the 3 things that once you get this, everything will fall into place, but I believe these are strategies that can help you. These are things that need to be emphasized within your quiet time. And I also want to say that I'm someone who struggles with it just as much as you do. I know that you may look at me and say, Ben, you're creating these videos, you're doing these things, your quiet time is here in this moment, and this is not what I view as my quiet time. And I'm not saying that to be uber spiritual, but I believe that yes, there are some times that I've said that I've created a video out of my quiet time and the things that I do, and that is a fruit of my quiet time. And so I think understanding why is the first and most important reason to having a better quiet time. So that's number 1, understanding why. So I want to read what I wrote and kind of my thought behind it. And so I wrote, a quiet time is a necessity for our walk with God. Understanding the why behind a devotional time is so very important. The Bible is what prepares us and speaks to us and teaches us how to walk through life. The Bible is the greatest weapon we have. Not only can it fight against Satan, trials, and situations, but it also helps us fight against temptations of day-to-day life. And this is where a consistent quiet time, comes in to being so important. So I said, it helps us fight the temptations of a day-to-day life. That's why devotional quiet time must be done daily, because with each new day, a new trial, stress, or situation rises, and our daily devotionals help us filter as it happens. And so I think that's important, is that when we have a consistent devotional life, that while things are happening, we begin to filter them through the lens and the viewpoint that God has given us. I've talked about before, focusing, changing our focus, changing our perspective. I actually believe that if you're having a consistent quiet time daily, every single day of the week, even on Sundays, I know that for me, I can think, well, I'm going to church, but it is also important to find private time with Him. And I just believe that instead of looking back on situations and saying, God, what can I learn from them? You'll learn in the moment when you have a consistent quiet time. So first, again, we need to understand why. Secondly, have a plan when you're going into your quiet time. I'm someone who I plan a ton, and I can almost plan to the extent that I'm the opposite of this, that I plan so much that the planning process for me, okay, I've done it. I've planned it. Like I've told you guys before, I'm someone who, I love the process. I'm not a, moment person. I love the process of planning worship services. I'm a worship pastor for a living, and I love that moment. I love, just thinking of how God's going to use the people on stage and all of that. And then I could just sit back and just, I don't even need to be on stage. And that is a beautiful thing, but have a plan when you walk into it. And so I wrote, think through a time when you are able to be consistent and devote your mind, soul, and body to your devotional. It's easy to say, I'm going to wake up and do it, but are you truly prepared? Waking up earlier. Maybe it's doing it at night, whatever the time of day may be. For me, mine begins in the mornings from the moment that I wake up. My wife leaves a little bit earlier than me, and so when I get up in the mornings, it's quiet. It's just me and the dog, and I walk around, and my quiet time begins. honestly over a span of an hour, and that's not me, again, sounding uber spiritual, but it just takes that long for me to process the information I take in. And so usually that begins with me planning the scriptures I read, and that's my second point. Pick a passage or Devo beforehand. Some of us can sit down and read anything and have a fruitful Devo, and that is great. I'm not knocking that. But most of us, just like myself, need some guidance for our devotionals. This can come in the form of a daily devotional book, or maybe a podcast, a sermon. And I'm someone who I listen to sermons often and podcasts often. But one thing I want you to do within that is not just let it be a time where someone's preaching at you, but truly be in the scripture, be reading through. Maybe it's, I can break a sermon down usually within my hour of my devotional in the morning. When I say that, I'm waking up, I'm making coffee, I'm doing different things throughout that hour. But part of that is I find a sermon that I'm going to listen to, usually the day before, and I listen to it the next day, and usually about 10 to 15 minutes of it, and I kind of chew on that, and I break it down, and then when I get to my desk, I have that moment of where I can open the Word and say, all right, what do you want to teach me? And that leads me into the other thing of that is form your own opinions and beliefs. Don't just take up someone else's opinion and say, this is what I believe, but really dive into it. And so, secondly, again, that was to have a plan. So we've said first, understand the why, and secondly, have a plan, and third, all these are important. And so when I say the most important, this is something that I just thought in my own private time was so very, very important. And that was find accountability. In Proverbs 27:17, it says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. I speak, it with my students that I disciple, and also to the people that, are accountable with me. But accountability is key. Having someone who understands what you're going through, having someone to listen to talk to, maybe being that person for someone else, it means a lot. We're not alone, and it shouldn't take a drastic measure or situation to figure that out. So find someone, find a friend that you can truly trust. I firmly believe in someone of the same sex as well, so you can walk through and not have any weird moments, and that, and that can be different for everyone, but I stand by that. If you're a guy, man, and you're walking through high school, find a guy or an adult leader. At our church, we have table group leaders, someone who is in charge of about 10 kids and just shepherding their hearts. So maybe find someone like that you can meet with on a weekly basis or an every other week basis, and have them be accountable with you, be raw, be just straightforward with you. And so that's the third thing, is to be accountable. And I want to end with the scripture of Psalm 1 verse 2, and we covered this way back, but it says, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on his law day and night. And so again, find time to dive into his word and understand the why. Understand the importance of a quiet time, that it prepares you, it equips you, and then have a plan going into it. So if tomorrow you're seeing this and you say, all right, I'm going to begin to plan out my quiet time, that's great. Find that time where you can get alone with God and prepare and just nurture your heart and soul, and then go out and share the gospel. And number 3, find accountability. Find accountability with someone that you know, someone maybe older than you, but more importantly, wiser. Someone who's walked through those situations and that can pour into you. And so those are 3 things that I believe that can help you have a better quiet time. If you have any questions about this, feel free to click one of the links down below and contact me. I would love to talk to you. But again, just have an amazing week. 2020 is here, and I'm excited for it, and I hope you are too. I hope that your year is starting out well. And so this was how to have a better quiet time. Well, I know today's video was a little bit longer than most, but I just view this to be so important, and that was to have a better quiet time or devotional or whatever you call it. So I hope you found this video useful and understanding. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. Let me know the things you want to ask. Email me, whatever it may be. I'm so excited to continue this journey for 2020. Remember to please just take just a quick moment to like this video, but also subscribe. It goes a long way, pushes us up through the channels, and lets people hear the good news that we're sharing on this channel. Remember, have an amazing day and find your time in Him.